I'm live. That'll be good. The funeral directors will be pleased to know I'm alive. Is anybody watching? Hello? Nobody? I'll wait. Oh, somebody has arrived. Who's there? Say something, please. Hello, g'day guys. This is an impromptu stream. I tried so many times to get the stream going and Google kept throwing me back to the, have I got any audio? Is it working? Can you please give me feedback on if this sounds okay? I'll wait. Just to remember, you can hit ×2 on the playback speed and it'll catch up so you remove all the lag in the stream. Oh, excellent. It's fine. It's good. It's nice. That sounds great. Can't be me then. I sound like crap usually. Okay, it's an impromptu stream. I set it up because there's been a lot of things going on in the hobby recently. We've had the remote ID challenge kicked out. We've got our tower and under threat of being demolished. We've got the new Avatar Fat Shark video system. I thought, it's probably a good time to chew the fat with some friends. And it's raining here. It's a cold, wet, windy winter's Sunday morning, so I thought, hey, can't fly, might as well chat to my friends through the intertubes. So there you go. Any questions? Any questions, class? Waiting. As I say, go to 2 times and you'll catch up. Won't be so much lag between when you type something and I see it, and then you see the response. Yeah, it's also wet in Melbourne. You've had a pretty wet year, haven't you, down there in the coast of Australia? And what's cold? Cold, I think it's about 8 degrees today. And that's Celsius, no? 40 today. Stop showing. Is that Fahrenheit or Celsius, Jim? It's because it's cold here. Mangakino, woohoo! Yeah, it's raining here too, mate. We're just down the road from Mangakino. Isn't it nice to know someone from Mangakino is watching? Gosh, this thing's got good range, hasn't it? It reaches all the way to Mango. Brilliant. My mayor must hate me. Surely not. The beautiful mayor, she must love me, I'm sure of that. A question from Sec 101. Do you prefer analog or digital video these days? I'm still on analog. Actually, to be honest, it's all good. I fly probably mainly analog still. A little bit more digital since I got a couple of new quads. But I really do like the visceral feeling that analog gives me. I'm more connected, you know. You're not sort of like just watching GoPro footage after the flight. It's like you're actually really there, and I think that's important. So it's 26 and muggy in the UK. Well, that's like a heat wave, isn't it? Anything over like 15 is a heat wave, isn't in the UK, isn't it? It's mere, not mere. Yeah, some might say that. Some may say that. Is fixed wing as scary as it looks? Nah, fixed wing is great. Fixed wing is. There's a bit more adrenaline because you can't, if you get things wrong, you can't stop and back up. You've got to plan a bit further ahead when you're flying proximity, but it is brilliant. It's a whole different thing. One of the things about the hobby is it's all good because there's so many different facets that you can really have a lot of fun with all of them. When you get bored doing something, go and do something else. I get bored flying multirotors, I fly fixed wing. I get bored flying FPV, I fly line of sight. You never find a situation where I've run out of things to interest me, which is good. What do we got now? 107 people. Oh, I'm nearly as good as Mads. Mads gets that many and more. What do we got here? 38 degrees last week. Yeah, it's been a big heat wave over there in the UK. I'm a lizard. I can stand as much heat as you want to throw at me. But the cold, I'm not so keen on that. We'll just have to run around to keep warm, I suppose. And yeah, the Dart 250, that's the Zod. I've got one of those. They sent it to me for review, and I'm waiting until I can say something nice about it. Because once you get in the air, it's nice, but they're so damn hard to launch. I don't have a flight controller on mine because I always set mine up initially without a flight controller. And sometimes, I mean, if you're flying close proximity, you don't need a flight controller. But only, I would say, 2 out of 10 launches are successful hand launches because the damn thing just spins and squirrely. I've tried all the CG positions, and other people have mentioned that they're really hard to hand launch without a flight controller. And I don't want to put a flight controller on it because that takes the character out of an aircraft. When you put a flight controller in a plane, just like a quad, they'll fly the same. They'll fly the same once the flight controller's in there and it's basically doing a lot of the homework for you. I like to fly unaugmented, you might say. Yeah, the foam is weak. They do crumple a bit at the front on those Dart 250s, but they're easy to repair. Mine's had a bit of a hard life, and I've only had about 10 flights. Well, no, yeah, I wouldn't even be 10 flights, probably 6 or 7 flights out of 60 or 70 launches, maybe. 40 degrees C in Canada. Woo! Yeah, I watched Alan Yu this morning, and he was complaining about the heat too. But he still wears thick clothes, and I don't know what's wrong. He's always wearing very heavy clothing, even in the middle of summer when he's doing long walks. I can't understand that. And who else have we got in here? So many people. Let me have a look. Yeah, Nano Goblin is easy. Yeah, I've got the Nano Goblin, but it's got such slop in it that it's. Is it the Goblin? Yeah, it's the one with the sloppy ailerons and sloppy tail feathers. It because of the way the wings plug in. Is that the one, the Goblin? Can't remember. But yeah, that's disappointing. Once you're again, you put a flight controller in it, it's fine because the flight controller compensates for all the slop. But when you're flying it like a real plane, it's just loosey-goosey. What do we got here? Can anyone head down and come for a flight at the Tiger Airfield? Well, we won't be flying today. The weather's crap. 40 km/h wind gusts, they reckon. So, yeah. I've got a Dolphin. I have an atomic Dolphin, which I'll be reviewing, putting together. Very fast, very fun. The interesting thing about fixed wing FPV is that I'm not a great fan of the bigger models because they're more conspicuous. They cost more. They're easier to break. And once you're flying, you don't really notice any difference. Once you're looking through the camera, you don't know how big the model is. And that, I try to stick with the smaller stuff, cheaper, less chance of hurting someone if something goes wrong. And I think these days, obviously, with things like this remote ID thing in the USA, we're going to have to go smaller anyway if we want to actually still enjoy the hobby without all sorts of regulations and restrictions. How's the Audi SB alarm coming along? It's coming along great, Shane, because I've now got 3D printing at my disposal, and I'm printing up a little case with the Raspberry Pi Zero W board, which will make it a very small, compact handheld unit. And I've just got a couple of other LCDs that I'm going to be trying out because LCD's been a bit of a sticking point, finding one that's readily available and that works and is affordable. So yeah, that I've been, with the bad weather I've been spending a lot of time on that. And one option I'm going to do is to make one without a screen at all, so you can just use your phone as the screen if you want to do it that way. So keep the price down, keep simplicity. Yeah, so we'll see what happens with that. And how do all those compare to your Outlaw 250? The Outlaw 250 is brilliant for close proximity, low-level flying. It flies so slow because it's got that sort of basically flat plate wing. You can get it into a high alpha situation where it's got very slow speed, quite a bit of drag, a lot of lift, and you can just hit really small gaps because it's flying so slow. And if you do hit something, it doesn't break because there's no kinetic energy involved. It's flying very, very slow and it's very light. So yeah, I like just trundling around the drain and bushes and things with the Outlaw. It is really, really useful for that. I wouldn't go long range with it because it's not that efficient. Although with a 2-cell lithium ion pack, I get about 15 to 20 minutes, which isn't too bad. Oh, hey, Geeks has thrown me £5. Gee, that's excellent, mate. That's twice what YouTube usually pays me. Fantastic. Appreciated, Sean. Very much appreciated. What have we got here? Actually, because yeah, this last month, because of this weather, one thing that's really annoying is with the weather being what it is down here, when we have winter, it's usually very, very bleak and cold and wet and windy for mainly from about the day before Christmas till the day after. Or the other way around. Yeah, so it's really hard to make flying videos. You've seen I've had a couple of flying videos when we've had fine days at the airfield, but most of the time it's just not flyable and certainly not pleasant to fly. So it's really hard to get the flying videos out, which means no flying reviews, no fun at the field videos, which means I've got very little new to throw on YouTube. And I don't want to keep doing these talking head videos that I've been doing because people come on NextJet, they come for some fun and some entertainment, and you don't want to hear me whinging and moaning all the time about my own issues. So I try to ooh, look at that, Audio Geek, thank you, mate. So I try to if I can't put something I know people are going to enjoy up, I prefer to put nothing up. And then when I put something important up, people are more likely to notice. It keeps the signal to noise ratio high, even if the overall output is lower in the winter. But it means I can prep, I'm getting stuff ready for the flying season when it finally arrives. Hopefully it'll be a nice, warm, calm flying season this year. Mads Tech, oh, Ian sent me money. Fantastic, mate. Yes. Yeah, no, you have to pay a lot more than that to stop me, mate. I'm a professional, not a professional streamer, but a professional something. Yeah. Just a reminder, I have to do this every time. It's just a plug for my OnlyFans channel. Don't forget my OnlyFans channel. That's where I make most of my money. I do have to get my gear off. Not so good in winter. It's very cold. Yeah. And what else have we got here? I should keep an eye on the chat, shouldn't I? What's up between me and YouTube V? The reason this thing's got such a grisly title is because I did probably 4 or 5 times trying to get the stream going, and I'd get to the last thing where it said go live, and it said, oh, something went wrong. It throws me right back to the first page. You've got to type everything in again. It is, oh wow, I should stay here longer. Geeks, he's paid my rent now. It's fantastic. Thanks, Sean. Yeah, the YouTube keeps throwing me back to the first screen, and all the stuff I typed in, all the elaborate description and title and tags was lost. I thought, oh, damn it all, I'll just type anything. So that's why this has got such a crazy title, because again, it's pretty abstract. You know, there's no plan to the stream. It's not like Ian. I'm not professional. I don't have all the multiple cameras and the YouTube lighting in the background. I just turn the light on and turn the camera on. I'm an amateur when it comes to streaming. So yeah, maybe I'll get better in time, but I don't do many streams, as you know. But I thought this time, you know, as I say, there's so much going on out there at the moment with all these legislative changes and dealing with crappy politicians. I thought, yeah, let's have a bit of a chat about it. So, what else have we got? Obviously, Jason is amused by something. Oh. Hello, what's that? El Nufo, is it? I can't see. Well, this screen's crap. I need to get a new LCD for this. This is my internet screen. I put my good screens on the editing rig so I can actually see what I'm doing. But over here, it's not so important because I'm only watching other people's videos. What have we got? Hello from Auckland. Whoa, a few Kiwis. One from Mango, one from Auckland. That's brilliant. And what else? Let me just move backwards in the chat in case I've missed anything. I've probably missed heaps. I'm sorry. I'm terrible at this. So was it Parallel working on his own HD protocol and trying to cram all the hardware encoders in there? Yeah, I mean, I've contemplated occasionally taking a rethink about the HD video system FPV, because I did have a look a while ago, and the roadblock I came up against is that most of the available chips to do the stuff are really expensive. It's like, you know, it's even if you look at DigiKey and Mouser and you want to buy in 1,000 or 10,000 quantities, they're hugely expensive, far more than it cost you to buy a DJI Air unit or something. So it's kind of it's hard to make something that's going to be cost effective, but it doesn't mean I'll stop looking. Wings put Tokoroa Tower in the simulator. Oh yeah, I saw there's a couple of sims with the Tokoroa Tower in it actually. Although I'm sure Mia won't care. It won't make any difference to her. G'day from Perth, Western Australia. G'day, Jason. Is that Jason? How do you say that? Unusual spelling. Anyway, have I considered a co-host? Actually, I would like someone else to do the stream. Oh, David, mate, thank you. Oh, and thank you for all the money. He says thank you for the content. I say thank you for the money. That's brilliant. So, yeah, the Pi 4 has some hardware encoders built in. Yes, it does, but they're not very good. They won't handle the higher frame rates, unfortunately. And a Pi 4, yeah, it's pretty big. It's pretty big. If you wouldn't want to build an Air unit around a Raspberry Pi 4, it's just too big. Even the 3.0, and again, the encoders, I think they're limited to like 30 frames a second at any reasonable, without losing a lot of frames. I saw some good stuff on the internet a while ago because I looked at the Pi, and basically even 720p, you're going to be losing frames at any sensible frame rate, which means it's going to be stuttery and not very good, unfortunately. Others may have actually experimented and had different results, but one guy did quite a good comprehensive review of the whole thing. G'day, Spike. From, what's that? Lagra GA. Is that Galveston? No, what's Georgia? I don't know. I don't know American state abbreviations. I'm sorry. Yeah, Jets and Nano, but they're so expensive and they're pretty big too. And the power draw is reasonably high. I mean, you can do it yourself HD video, but doing it in a way that's actually practical and you put it on a small craft, especially now we're being really forced into the sub 250. In America, if you don't want to fit remote ID, sub 250 is really the only way to go. And I don't think that's, I do like sub 250. I've done a few videos pointing out how much fun it can be. But I don't like to have to be constrained to sub 250. And what makes 250 grams a magic number anyway? I don't see that a 300 gram would be any real more dangerous than a 250 gram one. So it's a pretty arbitrary figure, which is unfortunate. And the T-Lite 2 looks decent. Yeah, the jumper, I like my little T-Lite. It is the best sticks on any radio I've got in terms of dealing with my own issues with tremors and things. They're so light, they're fantastic. I haven't seen one of those from Jumper. Perhaps they aren't going to send me one because I didn't praise the other Jumper too much I said it was as good as the Zorro. So, well, it was a choice between the two. Have I seen any Murray FPVs, open source HD builds? No, I've looked sort of briefly at the Open HD stuff, but as I say, it's all like it's a flying basket of wires in many cases, and it doesn't suit what I want to fly. I don't want to have to build large quads or anything like that. I want something that's small enough to be practical and easily used. The magic number we reached for the chain, yeah, that's right, yeah, because 250 grams, they probably implemented 250 grams because they thought no one will ever build a small drone that does all the stuff and weighs just 250 grams. But of course, technology moves on, and now we can do stuff with 100-gram drones that they didn't even dream of when the 250 rule came in. So I would not be surprised to see that number drop. They'll find some excuse to say, oh, no, it has to be 100 grams is the point where you don't have to register or whatever. So things will happen. The change is not driven by safety. We know that. We look at the reason that the regulators and the politicians haven't done that essential risk assessment is because they know it would not support the level of regulation that we're currently facing. We are grossly over-regulated because the claimed risks are not there. And if you do a risk assessment, you do it properly scientifically, it proves that you've over-regulated. So they're never going to do a risk assessment because it will not back up their claims, which is unfortunate. Yet, interestingly enough, if you want to fly drones commercially, part of all that stuff is doing a risk assessment before you take off. The regulators believe risk assessments are so important that we must do them, but not important enough that they need to do them. I don't know. I don't know how that works. And what else have we got? Weight doesn't matter. Yeah, you're probably right. It's 100 grams in Japan. I thought, yeah, is it 100 grams? It's 200 grams in Japan, isn't it? Because I know the DJI Mini, they had to make a smaller battery to get it under the 200 grams. It made it 199 grams. So yeah, every country has. And that's the thing. We all face the same risks. We all use the same craft. The air is the same in every country in the world. Yet every regulator's come up with different regulations, which means they obviously themselves have not accurately identified or quantified the risks. Otherwise, all the rules would be the same in every country. So that's kind of proof that the regulators are just regulating for reasons other than safety. And I don't think that's good enough. You fly. Oh, here we go. DLGs. Yeah, I've made sure that my DLGs are just under the limit. I don't fly bigger DLGs. My biggest ones, I think, are 1 meter, I think. But I really enjoy my DLGs. Yep, John is right. It's because they thought we'd never get sub 250 craft that were capable of doing the things that we currently do. Yeah. What else have we got? What is the punishment for not complying with remote ID? Well, it's probably not as bad as the punishment for complying with remote ID, which means you're giving away your right to privacy and your anonymity and things. And I'm an old guy, I was born in an era when people actually were trusted. If you were driving along in your car and you got pulled over and you didn't have your driver's license, and you said to the policeman, yeah, I've got a license, he'd say, well, go to the nearest police station within 7 days and produce it. They'd trust that you were telling the truth. As long as you could back it up later. But here in New Zealand now, if you don't have your driver's license, you basically, it's an offence not to carry your driver's license with you when you're driving. I can understand it a little bit, but I can't even go into the bank and withdraw cash using my own money card, which only I know the PIN of. I can't do that without producing ID as well. I mean, seriously, this whole ID thing now in New Zealand, they're talking about taking our driver's license database and connecting it to all the other government departments so that they can use facial recognition to identify people when they want to deal with the government. So if you want to talk to the government, you have to get online, have your webcam going and do a facial ID to make sure you are who you say you are. I don't like being treated as if I am always trying to fool people or trying to defraud people or a liar. When you lose the trust, it's like the relationship is just not going to work. And this whole thing, it's the assumption of guilt everywhere. We're assumed to be guilty of something unless we can prove otherwise. That's not the way the world was built. It doesn't make the world a very nice place, in my opinion. Let's go back to the thing here. Mass compliance. You won't see mass enforcement. The problem when you have something like a rule that is not regularly enforced through the lack of resources, what the authorities tend to do is every now and then they'll grab someone and make a scapegoat of them. They'll make an example of them. They will throw the book at them. They may have done something completely trivial, but they will use them as an example to others of why they should be complying. And that is really unfortunate if you're the guy that gets chosen to have the book thrown at them. But again, non-compliance is definitely an option, and civil disobedience is acknowledged as one way that the public can push back against unreasonable regulation or rules or laws. So it is an option. I think Bot Grinder's got that sorted out. He's going to be not complying. Good for him. That's what I say. In the UK, you have a speed limit for sub 250 and above. Yeah, there's an energy. I think that's the EASA, or that was the EU regulations, something to do with kinetic. Did they actually bring that in with the kinetic energy thing? So many joules? I don't know. Can't remember. Can you do an FPV build video? Yeah, I could do one actually. I've got a couple of models which are going to be reviewed shortly. I could do a build on those. I haven't done a build video for ages. Lots of people do build videos. My AXN build video is one of the most popular series on my RC Model Reviews channel. Maybe I should look at doing it again. I know Joshua Bardwell does build videos. Other people do. I just wondered if there's already too many build videos. I don't know. Only you guys can tell me that. Try and chill. Think of the RC. Yeah. That's one thing I was thinking today. If the weather improves, and I see there's a little glimpse of sunlight there, if the weather improves, I might just grab that unbreakable Foxwhoop and go out and just have a ball, because I've had enough of dealing with idiots in authority. I might just go and have a ball and just film it. Those videos, of course, never get much in the way of views because nobody wants to see yet another old man flying yet another drone very poorly. But it is quite nice to get out there and just get the release. And when you haven't flown for weeks because of the weather, it's nice to just go and have a good bash, see how many bits of playground equipment you can knock down with a tiny drone. I'm good at that. Someone from Detroit. What else have we got? People are scared away from soldering. I did a tutorial on soldering, or sort of tips and things. It's not hard. It's really not hard. Just most people don't understand the process, so they get it wrong. But they don't use the right tools. You've got to have a good. You're only as good as the tools you use. So invest in a good soldering iron, and it becomes a whole lot easier. Invest in some good solder with lead in it. The stuff that rots your brain. You've got to have that. Unleaded solder is, holy crap, $100 from Anthony May. Woo! Oh no. It's supposed to be $10. Send me an email. I'll email it back to you, mate. That's brilliant. But yeah, soldering is really easy as long as you just get the right gear. You've got to have some flux. You've got to have leaded solder. You've got to have an iron, preferably a temperature-controlled iron, and then just a little bit of practice. You'll find it's really, really easy. It's a skill I picked up many, many years ago. Time for maybe I should redo my crashing into stuff. The problem is you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. There are a lot of regulators, politicians, and others who don't want to know what's going on. They don't want the truth. The current narrative fits their case perfectly. I mean, politicians generally want more control because the more control that they have, the more power they have. And the industry, the drone industry, doesn't want people thinking that our drones are safe. So there's narrative out there that wants to be supported. The media doesn't want to report. Nobody was endangered by drones today. They want to report the bad things. So we have to realize that a lot of people out there have a narrative. They don't want to change it. And no matter how much we show them the facts, they will not change their narrative. So it's a really hard thing to battle against. And Old Fart says, my vids are always entertaining. Well, I'm glad to know that. I try. I try that. What else have we got here? Save the tower. Yes, we do need to save the tower. We need nuclear batteries. There are nuclear batteries, but not practical at the moment, I'm afraid, for model use. And g'day, free range chicken FPV. And thanks the Boz. I'm glad you enjoy the videos. It's let's face it, that's the main reason I make them, is so that I can share the fun and educate and so forth, because this chat has probably earned me more than all my videos this month. All my new videos I've uploaded, because I think it's no surprise to anyone, especially anyone that makes videos, that you get very little money from a video. I think my videos at the moment are quite low in views because the topics are not that entertaining, or not that there's no general appeal to the model flying videos these days. So I think I've had like 4,000 and 5,000 views, and that, because of the subject matter, is about I get about $1 US per 1,000 views. So it's $4 or $5 for a video. I mean, hey, it might take me. In fact, one of the videos I edited recently took me 2 days to edit, and so far it's earned me about $5. So it's if I did it for the money, I'd be distraught. So I just do it for the fun, really, and the money is handy because it pays the bills. But every now and then, though, you do get a viral video. That one with the Russian helicopter, the model of the Russian helicopter they put up there, and I got nearly 2 million views or something. It's amazing. I mean, that was a good chunk of change that paid a few bills, and boy, I needed it. And it's also helped me survive the months that followed. but they are the exception rather than the rule. And I don't want to get into making clickbait videos and appealing to the general public. You know, I can make lots of videos that will probably get heaps and heaps of views, but it reduces that signal to noise ratio. I mean, you don't come here to watch videos designed to attract a general audience of millions because I'm, you know, saying something you're not interested in. I'd rather service the hobby through these channels. That's why I started my Bruce Simpson channel, because if I'm going to do stuff that might be a bit clickbaity or something different, I'll put it on there and try not to pollute this channel with stuff that is, you know, you're not interested in. Did I try the DCL game simulator? No, I haven't done much with simulators, actually. I must admit I haven't. I need to get set up to do that, because my main computer, I run Linux, and a lot of simulators, there's no Linux version. On my editing system, I try and keep it fairly clean, because editing's important. I don't want to put some software on that might screw stuff up. So I tend to only run my editing software on the editing system. And this is also a pretty low level system. It's only got a third generation Intel 4-core processor. And I still haven't put my 1060 graphics card in there, so it's just running the standard Intel iGPU, which is pretty crap. And that's probably why this stream is not very good either in terms of video quality. What else have we got? Yeah, hit that thumbs up. Yeah, I smashed mine watching one of Ian's videos. It doesn't work anymore. My thumbs up button is broken. What else have we got? Patreon is a sting. Yeah. What's my favorite fixed wing currently? Currently fixed wing. Well, the FMS Super Easy has for a long time been one of my favorites, because it's such a versatile little plane. I can hover it, I can do knife edge, it'll do all the aerobatics, but I can just tool around and fly and do touch and goes, and it flies super slow. It flies slower, like Super Easy flies slower than the Tundra with full flap. It's just such a versatile little model. And Bill built one with he put two motors on his, and his flies brilliantly too. So yeah, Super Easy is still one of my favorites. I like the little Yashin P51 Mustang, the little tiny 400mm one, but mine's worn out. I wore the motor out. They've got to replace the motor. Thank you, Free Range Chicken, mate. Brilliant. And I shall put that money to good use. Thank you very much. I need to get a better camera. Yeah, I need to get a better computer. This camera is a Logitech C922 or whatever it is. As a webcam goes, it's not bad, but my PC doesn't have a dedicated GPU at the moment, so that means that this is probably crap, because having to go through that just an old Intel processor. So I will, in fact, some of the money here today I might spend on improving this computer. It is very, very old and very tired, but as I say, mostly it's used for browsing the internet, watching YouTube videos, so it doesn't need a lot of horsepower. But if I'm going to stream, it does need more horsepower. So yeah, and it's streaming something that I haven't really done a lot. You've probably noticed I very rarely do streams. Thank you, Christopher. Excellent, mate. Brilliant. Much appreciated. I don't do a lot of streams. People like Ian do brilliant streams. A lot of the stuff he covers in live stream, it would be silly for me to try and do that, because he does it better. I mean, Mads, if you haven't seen Mads Tech, remember what Mads Tech is it? Yeah. Or Mads RC, I can't remember. Anyway, brilliant channel. He's gaining a lot of ground now. He's getting really popular because he's covered some of the digital FPV systems, and he does it in depth, and he does it well. So he deserves all the success that he gets. Sean, someone stolen your credit card and gone wild or something? Oh, yes, I should mention Sean as well. You should all watch Geeksvana. He's just purchased another commercial on the stream. Yeah, Sean does some excellent stuff, especially in respect to rules and regulations, especially in the UK. And he's interesting. He is a camera drone guy, but he's got into freestyle. He's got a freestyle aerobatic drone, and it sounds like he's going to get into fixed wing. Are you going fixed wing, Sean? Tell us what you're going to do, mate. Oh, morning view. Thank you, mate. And you're right. Model aviation will. I think humanity's already passed its best by date, if you want me to be totally honest, apart from people in this hobby. Oh, Whittianga. G'day. Thank you so much for logging in from Whittianga. There's quite a few Kiwis on here, actually. This is brilliant. And RTX 3060. Yeah, I've got a 3060 in my editing rig. And I've got I had a 1060 in there, so I've got that, which I'm going to put in this machine. But I still think running Linux, I haven't found that the NVIDIA drivers are particularly good for Linux. So I'm thinking I would like to get an AMD card because they're better supported, but AMD doesn't have quite the good streaming performance that NVENC does on an NVIDIA. So still playing around with that. I'll have to spend some time and see what I can come up with. Have I used RealFlight 9.5? No, the last sim I used was, it would have been 15 years ago since I flew a sim, because I'm so good now, I just don't need a sim. I'm just a natural. And if you believe that, I've got a bridge I will sell to you later. Predict the future of FPV in the States in 5 years, it'll still be there. People will still be doing it. It's probably a bit like skateboarding, because if you notice, the people that are into FPV, especially into freestyle, oh, thank you, Aggie. That's excellent. People that are into freestyle droning at the moment are the same people that were into skateboarding when they were younger. I'm surprised how old the average freestyle drone flyer is. Typically like 40, 50 years old, which is amazing for something that's so contemporary. And so it'll go underground to a degree, because the regulators in the USA are forcing us underground, forcing the hobby underground. Because if, for example, you can't legally comply, one of the things that is amazing is you must check that your remote ID system is working before you take off. And if it fails, you must land immediately. So if you're flying in a bando and you go under a concrete surface and you lose GPS lock, in theory, when you come out, you won't have GPS lock, so you must land immediately. It's just like crazy stuff. And rules you can't comply with are not worth having. Where are we? Oh, g'day from Adelaide. G'day, Hayden. How's it going, mate? What's a florican? I don't know what that is. Yep, there we go. Audio Geeks 50. See, so many of us are, or so many people are older. 42. There you go. It's not. I would have expected something like this to be full of teenagers and 20-somethings, because it's such a radical thing. But it seems that maybe they're all still skateboarding. But it seems it's really found a niche with people who, when they were teens and early 20s, they were skateboarding. So many people, like, look, who was it? Middle Danny, I think he was a skateboarder. And also motocross. A lot of people doing this used to ride motocross. I used to ride motocross. There seems to be a commonality all the way through. It's good. 56 and still flying freestyle. 38. Oh, a young fella. We've got someone young here. 38. 44. Yeah. 56. See what I mean? 37, 38. 45. Oh, there we go. Mike's young. 28. One of the youngest here, I'd say. That's it. It's surprising age profile. Oh, Ben is super young. But look at these ages coming up here. Look, this is what I said. It's mainly 40 to 60. And that's really surprising, which is, again, why I get a little annoyed with regulators and rules. We are not young people rushing out to cause trouble. Most of us are mature, we're responsible, we have a good attitude to safety, yet we're being treated as if we were reckless. Look at look at the profile of these. Oh, Tom's, you're doing really well, mate, for 112. But this is surprisingly old. People flying in this hobby are surprisingly mature. When you look, especially when you look at what they're doing. So, yeah, and Rob Psycho's 3. Excellent keyboard skills for a 3-year-old. It is. Perhaps the regulators are not aware of this. Perhaps I think we're all just young, reckless tearaways, but we're not. And I guess that even makes things worse when it comes to regulation, because we've been around long enough to realize that we're losing a lot of stuff. If you're young and you don't realize what was before, you don't care so much about it. But if you lived like me in the 60s and 70s, when we had a lot more freedoms in terms of our privacy and our right to anonymity and things like that, the way things are going in the world at the moment, it's just totally downhill. It's terrible. In fact, if any of you have not read the novel 1984 by George Orwell, and if you haven't read it, you don't want to read it, there's a BBC adaptation on YouTube. It's really old and black and white and grainy, but it's worth watching it, not for production values, but the story, the message in there. Look now, we are living in 1984. Absolutely. We've got cameras in every home, got your Ring doorbell, and it's sending information back to the police. Don't need a search warrant. They can get the Ring doorbell data. It is like, whoa, and we're all being controlled to such a huge degree that only someone who actually lived, or as old as myself and some of the others here, only we are probably able to see just how much we've lost in the last decade or two. And it is totally worrying. The chat's going so fast I can't keep up. It's brilliant. How many have we got? 220. Goodness me. This is almost like a Joshua Bardwell stream. Oh, dear. Where are we? I've got to try and catch up with this stuff. Yeah, 72, and they treat you like a child. That's right. That's absolutely right. I mean, from time to time we have to change our own diapers, but I know what you're talking about. Is anyone allowed to fly Taikara Airfield with DND permission? There's some restrictions. First of all, you have to have either the Model Flying New Zealand Wings, which is a certification issued by the National Model Flying Body, Model Flying New Zealand, and you have to have a radio that listens to the aviation frequency, which is 123.25 at that airfield. and you have to have someone spotting, observing for you to make sure you're not going to bang into any aircraft, because every now and then, a couple of times a month, a manned aircraft lands at that airfield. So we've got to be super safe. And if you want to come down and fly, mate, just give me a shout and I'll come out and spot for you. And also, because I've got my wings, if you don't have yours, I can supervise you, which makes it all legal. What else have we got? Is this the view of your office at near the airfield? I live across town from the airfield, so this is my office. This is my home edit studio here, and it's so cold going out to the airfield at the moment. I could be in my studio, but I've only got a wireless internet connection, which isn't as good as the gigabit fiber I've got here. So for streaming, it probably wouldn't be quite so good, and it's freezing cold out there at the moment. So what have we got? What else does it say here? Link has been spammed, more views. Who's spammed my link? Who's coming? I can't complain. It's excellent. Yeah. So speaking about the tower, the beautiful Queen, who is our mayor, obviously has got it in for me, because on many occasions I have pointed out her disingenuous attitude and some of the things she's done wrong and so forth, because just like I crusade for the hobby, I spend a bit of time crusading for the local community against the halls of power. And so she doesn't like me because I come armed with unfortunate facts and inconvenient truths, and she doesn't like that. So I've been told, just quietly off the record, that she has an intention to have that tower gone before she leaves office in October, because we have elections. She's not running again. So there's a bit of a time imperative to the fight we're facing. And it's just annoying that people can't just do the right thing instead of just, looking out for their own little vendettas and personal agendas, unfortunately. Yeah, what have we got? Yeah, what a bad trip. Indeed, indeed. So good question I could ask. What kind of content do you most value on this channel as opposed to RC Model Reviews? What's the kind of stuff that you like? Obviously, days at the field are good, but apart from sort of fun days at the flying field, is there anything else that I could be creating that you guys would find useful, valuable, or entertaining? And remember, still have the OnlyFans channel. Need more pics. Yeah, interesting. Long-range FPV. Parolin raises that. I mean, I get really annoyed when I see, just because in the United States, the FAA they're doing this BV loss consultation, and I watched the live stream and I was mortified, because they've got this arc and they've got all these people on there, and the reality is that they're virtually all industry people. There was, I think there's a couple of people representing the hobby, but most of the people on the BVLOS ARC are from the drone industry, right? And the drone industry needs to get a waiver to fly BVLOS. Most of them have never flown BVLOS. They don't know what's involved in BVLOS. They've got theoretical knowledge, book knowledge, but very few of them have actually done any significant amount of BVLOS. Yet the hobby, which has been doing BVLOS for over a decade, quite safely, no deaths, no injuries, no property damage, they're not consulted to the level they should be. And we're going to be told by people who have never done BVLOS how we can do it safely, what we need to do, what forms we need to fill out, what regulations we need to comply with, what certifications we need to get. It makes no sense. It makes no sense why it is the blind leading the sighted. It is just ridiculous, but that's the way the system works. And I don't fly long-range FPV, mainly because I don't want to walk too far if something goes wrong. And that's basically it. No, it makes no difference to me. I fly proximity. I like flying close to things and banging into them. And I don't want to walk a long way to get my model because I crashed into a tree. Thank you, IT, $20 Australian. Excellent. I don't want to walk that far. I'm old, I'm feeble. I don't want to walk too far. So I tend to stay reasonably close. The trees that are 100 or 300 meters away are just as easy to hit as the ones that are 3 kilometers away or 10 kilometers away. The other thing is that when people fly long range, they tend to fly higher because it's laws of physics. The higher you fly, the better your signal propagates. So those people that are doing like 30, 40K, they're often up at several thousand feet above the ground, which is where manned aircraft are. So the risk goes up quite a bit. Not huge, but it does increase the risk significantly. You're not going to run into an aircraft if you're dodging trees, at 20 feet, but you could run into an aircraft if you're up at 3,000, 4,000 feet to get the range to get out to 30 or 40K. And also, if you're flying close, you can hear aircraft coming. If your model's 30 or 40K away, you can't hear any planes that might be around there. So I'm not a safety Nazi, but I do try and manage risk wherever I can. And I don't think there's a great deal of risk associated with BV loss. But for me, the risk-reward ratio isn't there. I don't get it. I wouldn't get the reward for taking that extra risk on board. So I stay local, really. Yep, flying into a canyon. That's a good idea. The other thing is you've got to be careful. I noticed the other day that a lot of the surf clubs, along beach fronts, they've got the lifeguards and that are using drones now to drop, rescue rings and things to people that might get into trouble. But one thing I've noticed is that quite often manned aircraft fly quite low, just offshore. They think it's safe. There won't be any wires or poles or anything, so they can fly quite low just offshore. But they forget that that's where drones may be as well. So I'd be very cautious when flying a drone around a beach, because they're, helicopters, manned aircraft. So these lifeguards, I don't know what provisions they take to avoid the potential conflict with a manned aircraft or a helicopter if they're flying their drones out there, because they go looking for sharks and all sorts of things. Okay, Parallel, you fly around a beach. Do you see manned aircraft there very often? Do you see them flying offshore at a lower than 400 feet where they shouldn't be? It'd be interesting to know. Saltwater is a drone's best friend. You're right, John. Absolutely. If you're ever having trouble with your drones, drop it in a bucket of salt water for a week and you'll have no more problems with that drone. Absolutely guaranteed. G'day from Scotland. Hello, Captain Crash. Good evening, Shaky Mike's Adventures. It's morning here, mate. It is 11:20 in the morning. And I should be flying, but the weather doesn't support that activity at the moment. Yep, Tom's got many hours below 500 feet as a helicopter pilot. Interesting, Tom, if you've been flying helicopters, has your appreciation of the risk of low-level operations changed? Because this is one thing that annoys me too. The drone flyers are having to put up with all these regulations, restrictions, controls, and so forth, limitations to protect manned aviation. Thank you, Morning View. Excellent. But manned aviation hasn't had a single rule change to accommodate the increased risk profile of operations below 500 feet, which you would think they would. It's the manned aviators that apparently are at risk. So you think that just as you would change the rules for any activity where the risk changed, the regulations regarding manned aviation would also be changed to reflect the higher risk of operating below 500 feet now, because you could bang into a drone, but they don't do that. Like, all the burden is on us. Manned aviation flying in uncontrolled airspace, Class G airspace, doesn't have to have ADS-B. But in America, all the drones are going to have remote ID. Why is the burden all on us, not on the people who have got the most to lose, which apparently is their lives? Perhaps someone can answer me that. I've got no idea. But no idea at all. Oh, Mike, sorry, was it Cornwallis Beach in Auckland? There were planes usually on the weekends. Yeah, it is. It's a very common thing. And I think, manned aviation should be very much aware of it and adjust their operations to reflect the increased risk now of flying low with drones. Yep, Tom says no drones in his day, so he'd stay above 500 feet. There's a lot of operational requirements to be below 500. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be the case around here. It's just, if someone chooses to fly below 500, it's like that. There's no enforcement. So what do you got to lose except your life? Do you also have the addition of rules to the EU camera overrides? That camera override, that's only for recording cameras, isn't it? There's an exemption in the UK. If you're only using it for navigational purposes, you still don't have to register if you've got an FPV model below 250 grams. So as long as there's no recording camera, you still don't need to register that. But one thing that annoys or worries me in the UK is you've got some pretty good regulations for sub 250. You can fly basically anywhere. There's no real restriction apart from, flight restricted zones and so forth. And these auditors, what do you got? DJ audits, PJ audits, they're all going out, and what is it, Yorkshire News or something? They're going out there with their Mavic Mini 2s and they're flying over police stations and all sorts of things. And they're deliberately creating conflict with people, allegedly to educate these people so that they know they can fly their drones. I think it's just to get views on YouTube. Okay, can't blame them. That's the way they choose to do it. But it's worrying because the police are sooner or later going to say, we've got these people flying drones over our police stations. We're not happy about it. CAA, you need to change the rules to stop this. So they will change the rules. And so all those freedoms you had with your sub 250 craft will disappear. And suddenly you won't be able to fly them wherever you want. They'll be highly restricted. So these auditors are doing the hobby a huge disservice by pushing the boundaries. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do it. So, Curry Kitten says his sim works on low end Linux, if that helps. Yeah, I was looking at that, Curry. I might put that, have a go, put that on my machine, see what happens. And yeah, that'd be good. So you'll be able to read my emails after that and get my banking information as well. That'd be fantastic. Just kidding. Yeah, and he can't stand those audit channels either. Yeah, they're just out there to create a fuss and gather some views. Yeah, it's not what I would do, but obviously there's a demand for it. Lots of people seem to watch the videos, so yeah. But it's harming the hobby, and we they don't care because their hobby isn't flying drones. Their hobby is pissing people off, obviously. Oh, here we go. Jacko, what part of the NZ Mott drones program do you think we'll see become regulation next few months? I think registration's a guarantee, isn't it? Because Parliament is pushing it. The dull-eyed politicians we have are just as stupid as the ones in the US, and they will want our drones registered. And again, civil disobedience. I'm not going to register. They can lock me up. I don't give a damn. I'll be a martyr for the cause. But yeah, I'm glad they're thinking of getting rid of the property restriction, because for those who don't know, in New Zealand you cannot fly a drone over any property without the prior express permission of the property owner. Now, in some cases, that's a general permission, such as in parks and reserves that some councils do, but I can't go and fly my drone over a grassy field in the middle of nowhere without getting the permission of whoever owns that property, because reasons. I mean, if I'm flying over an empty grassy field in the middle of nowhere and my drone crashes to the ground, who's endangered? Nobody. But apparently our regulators say, well, it's too dangerous, we can't allow it, the risk of doing that is too high. So that needs to change, and the regulators have acknowledged that that is an area that could be addressed. So hopefully that we'll see that happen here, and hopefully they'll address the spotter issue as well. Do I think that if pilots don't comply to remote ID, they may have to throw it out? Because no, regulators never acknowledge non-compliance, very rarely acknowledge non-compliance as a reason for striking out a regulation. As I say, they'll just make scapegoats of people. They'll make an example of somebody with trying to put a chilling effect on the rest of the community. And if you're that person, perhaps we need to set up some kind of fund to help someone that gets made into a scapegoat. If we all pay, a couple of dollars into a fund and someone gets pinged and they throw the book at them, we can pay their fines or whatever, which helps support the concept of civil disobedience, because as an individual, you won't be burdened with the costs if you get caught and made an example of. That's the kind of organisation the community needs to do. We need to act in a unified way as a group, sharing the responsibility and the burden, so that we can do more than we can do as individuals. And that's the one thing that's totally missing, absolutely missing from this community. We're a community of individuals, not a group. And that's, that's unfortunate, because we know how many people are doing this, but we see the same names popping up in the forums and the chats and things. There's only a small group of people, most of who are here, who are actually willing to actually do stuff themselves and not rely on other people to do it. So there is a very small, tight-knit kernel, but we don't have the numbers to do anything really significant. Yeah, a $65 permit to fly over Dockland. Yeah. Really, seriously, why? And the justification now I've heard given for that is that drones are disruptive and annoying, and people on a tramp or something, they don't want drones annoying them. But there's so many helicopters fly over Dockland. You go for a tramp on a Dockland, there's helicopters buzzing over all the time, and a drone's far less annoying than a bloody Hughes 500 at 200 feet, I'll tell you now. So the justifications don't stack up for that. I'm hurting the grass, yeah, I'm hurting the grass. Your registration is a sure thing. My money is it will have an app-based qualification and a flight approval element, including Class G coming as well. Yeah, if Airways can try and put in that if they want to, but again, they're not going to get any compliance, not from me, and I'll just go to jail. Well, whatever they want to do. I don't have a lot of assets. They can fine the snot out of me and I go bankrupt, and they won't get their money, and I'll just carry on flying. Because if they make me bankrupt, my drones are the tools of my trade, and I'm allowed to keep up to $5,000 worth of those if they make me bankrupt. So I just keep on flying. Look me up for contempt of court probably, but then it makes a mockery of the whole thing. They've got to prove the case. This register, this UTM with getting flight approvals, it's not going to work. It's not going to work in practical terms. What else have we got? Build videos. Yeah, that was mentioned earlier. Build videos. So I might look at doing some build video. If I was going to do a build video, what would you like to see me build, apart from obviously stuff? And remember also that I've been trying to do a build video on the Outlaw 250 for so long, and something always goes wrong, or like last time I lost the SD card. It was terrible. But I could try and do a build video if people are really keen, and people who like the self-torture of watching a build video. Outlaw 250, yeah. Well, I mean, there's enough information now online, people can build their own. A lot of people have built their own Outlaw 250s. I've had a lot of emails from people saying I built it. Thanks very much, excellent. And if you can't work out how to glue a couple of bits of foam together, I think probably the Outlaw 250 is a bit advanced for a first model. There's, but anyone that's built any model, especially a foam board model, would easily be able to build it from the information that I've put up. A drone that fires explosive. All my drones turn into explosive rockets eventually. It's just a lack of maintenance, I think. Chris M, just for the record. G'day AA, how's it going, mate? An FPV jet. I'm not sure what the rules are in respect to jets. I think at one stage there was some kind of rule, might have been a Model Flying New Zealand rule, maybe Jacko knows, where you couldn't FPV anything that was powered by liquid fuel, obviously for reasons of safety. What about old fellas on pulse jet power skateboard? Yeah. Yes. Be careful what you ask for, Curry Kitten. Be careful. Build battery packs from cheap LiFePO4 cells. I did one on building a battery pack with 18650s. I did on RC Model Reviews. I did a build your own 18650 pack. So it doesn't matter whether it's a LiFe pack or lithium ion. The principles are exactly the same. So you could go and watch that one if you want, Lance. Yeah, spot welding. You don't need to use a spot welder. I mean, Audio Geek, I know spot welders are trendy. You can, if you've got a good soldering iron, your technique's good, you can solder 18650 packs. No problems at all. I solder all my packs. Never had any issues. Night temperature is 29 degrees. I'd love 29 degrees C at night. I love the heat. What else have we got? Colin Furs, build a pulse jet powered in a mobility scooter. I think he's done that already, hasn't he? So, or he's done a jet powered mobility scooter or something. It was some kind of powered mobility scooter. I was thinking of doing some more pulse jet stuff this year when the weather warms up a little, because I haven't done some for a while actually. And that'd give the council reason to complain, wouldn't it? It's too much noise. Yeah, it'd be a good reason. I might do some of that stuff. Yeah, hunt out all my old gear and clean the workshop up a bit. That's a major job on its own. Homemade Christmas. Oh man, I got in enough trouble last time, Jason. Would I really risk it? Although I was thinking actually of doing a how feasible is it? Just to, because all the threats, all drones are going to drop bombs on people. And we've seen in Ukraine that's happened. But I think it's, if you're worried about drones dropping bombs on people, you don't have a drone problem, you've got a bomb problem. What are people doing? Where'd they get the bombs from? And remember, a drone without a bomb is just a drone, but a bomb without a drone is still a bomb. So, these things that these straw men they bring up about, oh, we got to regulate drones because, no. Is there any danger in soldering 18650s? Only if you overheat them. And that means if you can't do the soldering complete within 3 or 4 seconds, then you're going to overheat the cell. And 3 or 4 seconds is a long time because you sand the end of the cell. And if you look at my video, you'll see what I do. You sand the end of the cell to make sure the oxide's off. You get hot iron and you tin it so that you put a layer of solder on the cell. And then you set it aside, let it cool. Then you tin the wire you're going to put on there, make sure it's got plenty of solder on it. Then you put the wire on top of the cell, and then you heat the wire with the soldering iron. The heat flows through, and they do what's called sweating. The solder on the wire melts onto the top of the cell, and it all goes in about 3 or 4 seconds, and you're done. And there's no chance of overheating in that period of time. Yes, I did. Yes, Gaza, I did a program of Scrap Heap Challenge. It was the jet races. And according to a user poll, it was the most popular episode of Scrap Heap Challenge that ever was. So I was quite happy with that. And then I went to America and did Junkyard Mega Wars as a technical consultant. If you go a long way back on this channel, you'll find the videos I took at that Junkyard Mega Wars filming. I was there in the background filming stuff. So that, and we built a large pulse jet powered drag boat, put it on the Long Beach Marine Stadium and raced it against a V8 drag boat, and we beat it. So yeah. Okay, what's here? Bombs are us. Yep, there's too much heat is bad, but it's actually hard to overheat them. You have to go for like 10 seconds to really start making a problem. And also do it when the cells are got only a minimal amount of charge in them. If you can, discharge them down to the 2.6 volts or whatever the minimum is, so that if something goes wrong, there's no energy in the cell. It's not going to go bang in your face. So you just make sure you put them on discharge, bring them down to about 2.6. Most cells are happy down to 2.6, and then do it. So there's very little energy. If something goes wrong, you're not going to have a barbecue on your hands. Let's have a look. In and out, yeah, exactly, as quick as possible. Hi from Indonesia. Excellent. Nice to see you here, mate. Yes, spot welders are surprisingly inexpensive. I'm just not a fan. When you look at spot welding, you've got just a few tiny little points where all the current has to flow. All the current has to flow through those few little tiny points. You might have, 7 or 8, 10, but when you sum up the cross-sectional area of all those spot welds, it's still an area of high resistance, and you will get a voltage loss across those spot welds. When you solder, you've got the entire area where the solder and the wire thing, you get a much greater cross-sectional area, and although solder does have a higher resistance than the base metal, it still produces a very low resistance joint. I find that to be, and you don't need nickel strap or anything like that. If you just use copper wire, you don't have to use any fancy strapping as you do with spot welding. And what have we got? Demonstration of what happens if you, yeah, sounds like a fun video. Yeah, I'll get someone else to do it. Let them take the risk. Yeah, and I say there is a lot of cheap spot welders. So if you're going to do a lot of it, it may be quicker. It will be quicker to use spot welder, but if you're just making your own packs, I don't think an extra 10 minutes makes a whole lot of difference and saves you that purchase. Watching on Starlink, can't believe you're going into space. My signal is running into space. Hey, if you're running, yeah, Tim, how's your Starlink going? Because I see a lot of people complaining it's getting slow now. I saw a couple of videos on YouTube that it's gone down from 150 megabits a second down to half that because because of the one of the things is roaming now. Now that they've allowed roaming, what people are doing is they're buying Starlink in an area where they don't officially provide Starlink, and then just moving the whole system to where they live, which may be an area which is already oversubscribed, so they're not selling more Starlink into there, which means that there's too much, not enough capacity to support all those users. So. Clueless gun rigs in New Zealand. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's typical of the world over. Just for those who don't know, our government decided to ban all semi-automatic firearms a little while back, and they said it's going to reduce gun crime because we had some nutter went postal. This will solve the problem. But since then, now in the newspaper and the media, we're having shootings every day. Almost every day someone's shooting a house, or there's been armed conflicts after they told us by banning the guns, we'll make the place safer. Well, it's got a hell of a lot worse. I don't know how again, ill-informed politicians who don't know what the hell they're doing. We don't have a gun problem. We've got a people with gun problem. Deal with the idiots. The gun is just a tool, just like a drone is a tool. Can be used for good, can be used for bad. So you got to regulate. Guns are a symptom of a problem, and they're not the cause of it. You need to regulate the cause. And the problem in New Zealand is it's like everywhere. We've got issues with drugs and all sorts of things. Better to address those issues than try and stop people, because you take the guns off them, then they'll use knives or clubs or whatever. I mean, look in the UK, how much knife crime soared after guns became even harder to get. I mean, if people want to do harm to somebody, they'll do it. They'll just find something else to do it with. So best to work out why these people are doing that and to solve that problem. But politicians don't really think much beyond lunchtime, which is unfortunate. Short-term solutions. Oh, Sean's got Starlink too. Oh, yeah, of course. How many people have got Starlink? Hands up, please. Everybody that's got Starlink. It's because Tim and Sean have got it. That's all. Yep. Yeah, John had his ECAT and there was a confiscation. Yeah, you had to hand all your guns in. And yeah, it's crazy, absolutely crazy. The interesting thing here in New Zealand is the person that went postal and committed the crime, they managed to do it because the police didn't do their job. When you apply for a gun license in New Zealand, because I was a licensed firearms owner, you've got to pass an exam, sit a test, and they do a background check, and then they do an interview with referees to make sure you're a fit and proper person. The police didn't do it properly. They dropped the ball. They did not follow through on all the processes they were supposed to do to ensure that bad people didn't get guns. As a result, a bad person got a gun and tragedy happened. But instead of punishing the police for not doing their job, they punished all the law-abiding gun owners by taking their guns off them. I mean, that's crazy. And that's what I could see happening in our drone situation. We're going to have a situation, probably eventually a commercial drone will crash into an airplane and someone will die. And you know who's going to be punished? All the recreational drone owners. Oh, drones are dangerous. Look, someone's died. We're going to have to, put more restrictions on recreational drone users, even though it's almost certainly going to be a commercial drone operator that happens. Maybe GPS fails and it wanders off into a flight path of something. We don't know. But recreational drones are small. They're lightweight. They're far less likely to cause an issue than a 50 or 60 pound commercial drone from Amazon or Google or whatever. They're the ones you've got to worry about. But the regulators treat us all the same. So the recreational community will have to shoulder the burden of responsibility when the commercial drone industry causes a problem. They'll be looking for a scapegoat, and we will be it. Jono, semi-automatic 22 still illegal, yeah, but there's a magazine size restriction now, isn't there, on those, I think. I'm talking Mike's language. Yeah, I think we're probably all pretty similar in our outlooks here. I think we're damn sight smarter than most politicians. Yeah. Yeah, 22, they still can cause carnage. Yeah, I mean, that's right. But I mean, someone with a knife, I mean, a pressure cooker can cause carnage. We don't ban pressure cookers. Pressure cookers don't have to have remote ID on them, but they have caused fatalities when used by bad actors. Boston Marathon. So, yeah. And what else here? Actually, it was there written on the tag years ago. Yeah, I've used my visual effects sometimes, and I've been working on that recently actually, because looking for stuff to put up. I have been doing the next installment of how to make RC model videos, and they'll be looking at the editing gear and so forth, and the processes that I use to do that. Because I'm sure most people like posting videos of their flying activities, and if you can make them a little bit better, then hey, all the better. Yeah, corruption, Mike. I in my honest opinion, I agree with you, and that's just the nature of the beast. That's I believe that anyone who aspires to be a politician should automatically be disqualified from becoming one. To be honest, you should be conscripted to the role of politician. It should be like jury service. G'day, Max. Nice to hear from you across the ditch. How does the cost of rating a 1 out of a 50? Yeah. That's the thing. Drone delivery is just a joke. It's silly. Aerial drone delivery is stupid. It's never going to be economically viable. And the only reason we've got Google and so forth doing it is because they want to justify the introduction of these traffic management systems, where everybody will have to pay Google or Amazon so much per flight to use their control system, and that's all they're doing. And of course, until there are drone deliveries, they can't say, oh, we need this. So they're providing the drone deliveries solely as a justification for coming in and saying, there's drone deliveries, we need to control this with an air traffic management system. And by goodness, we've got the most experience of anybody because we've been doing drone deliveries for X years. We can deliver the system that you politicians need. And if you want to buy it, we'll also give you a free holiday in Nevada and all this money you can use for your own purposes. Will you consider preventative protest or civil disobedience if they try to bring the tower down? They're probably going to bring it down in the dark of night. It'll be a stealth mission, and I mean, I am resigned. If the tower goes down, the tower goes down. I mean, I will have done everything I can to stop it. But we're dealing with someone who believes that they are not subject to the same rules as everybody else. I've seen that many times before from this particular group of people. And if they choose to bring it down, there's nothing I can actually do to stop it. I can physically stand there, but then I'd just get arrested for trespass and wouldn't be allowed to go back to the airfield. So I would have to just accept that. But I must admit, I've been thinking, what happens if the tower goes? And also this whole airfield thing. I've been there trying to get the council to recognise the value of this airfield. I tried to get the model park going in 2013, I think it was, and raised $40,000. All you generous people out there pledged $40,000 of your own money to build a model park at the Tokoroa airfield and create a mecca for other modelers from around the country, around the world to come and use. And the council turned it away. In fact, the chief executive of the day said he didn't believe any of the people who pledged that money would honour those pledges. I thought that's a huge insult to the generosity of a community that's willing to throw their money at our town to build something that would then also attract other people. I was outraged that he would say that, and I can't see why they would turn away international generosity. But I've been thinking since then, if the tower goes, the airfield is declining. It's only a matter of time before they shut the airfield down after that. I just wish I was younger, because I would really, really like to build a model park somewhere, not probably in Tokoroa, because obviously you have to deal with the same idiots. But they're adjacent. There's Rotorua and there's Taupo. They're both centres that understand the importance of tourism and visitors from outside the district and outside the country. I would be really, really excited to set something up there. A model park with a boat pond and an off-road model car course and an area where you can fly proximity FPV and line of sight and all that sort of stuff. So people can come from anywhere and do that. And you can even fund it because the public can come, like the boat pond. You'd have, $15 for 15 minutes using a model boat on the pond, and they can't really crash them in any extent. So that becomes a revenue generator. It covers the costs. I don't believe it needs to make a profit. But there are so many ways that we can introduce people to the hobby by doing this as well. You know, come to the hobby park and put these goggles on and see what it's like. And then people go, wow, that's fantastic. I want to do this. And then they go out and buy their own stuff and become members of the hobby. It's what we need to do. We're not really marketing our hobby very well. YouTube markets it a bit, but watching a video on YouTube is nothing like putting a set of FPV goggles on and coming along as a passenger on a flight. When I go to the park and fly my drones, I always, when I'm able to, pre-COVID, because with COVID it's a bit more difficult, but I always carried a set of passenger goggles. And people will come up and say, oh, you've got a drone. Oh, that looks interesting. And I'd say, yeah, do you want to come for a ride? Put these goggles on. And they were, without exception, blown away. Oh, how can I get one of these? Where do they get these? You know, what do I, full of questions. And it encourages an awareness and an interest in the hobby. And at the very least, it diffuses that you're spying on me thing. You know, when they realize that this is not about spying on people, it's about, well, out-of-body experience, their whole perspective changes. It turns Karens into really useful people, really interested people. So I would like to create a model park. I know Botgrinder wants to do the same in the US. The difference is he can buy 10 acres of land for 10 grand in the US and some places. Here in New Zealand, you cannot buy any land for under $1 million, any reasonable sized piece of land. The property values are ridiculous. But I thought maybe I could lease something for 10 years. I've got 10 years of useful life left to me, I think. I'll probably be getting a bit tired by the time I'm 80, but I think I've got another 10 years left if I keep up the hard work. And in 10 years, I think you could achieve a lot. And setting up something like this, an international model park that attracts people from around the world and gives people, even local people, a chance to come and do things they couldn't do in their own club. Because, for example, I would work very hard to get dispensation to have an area where you could fly, you know, short-range BV loss and do the things and get a height, height exemption, so we could go up to more than 400 feet. So people that want to do that sort of crap, and everybody does. You buy a model aircraft or a drone FPV, you want to see what it looks like from 1,000, 2,000 feet. So everyone goes up as high as they can. And once you've seen that it's pretty boring, you don't do it again. But I'd rather people did that in a controlled environment where they're not going to pose a risk to aircraft or anything else. And I'd try and sell that to the regulator on the basis that, give people the opportunity to do this in a safe way, and they're not much less likely to do it in an unsafe place. So we'd see how we get on. And CAA has changed their attitude to me quite a bit in recent times, which is a good thing, because they were pretty hostile a while back. But I think since I did that video showing how ridiculous the rules were when I flew this tiny whoop in my garden, and they did an investigation, I think that shamed them into realizing maybe we should just be a bit more careful about the actions we take. So I'm sure there's been many complaints about my flying since then, but I haven't heard a peep from CAA, which is good. It's good. And they've got a new director now. There's a new head honcho, and I think he's got a far better attitude. He says, we're not going to sweat the little things. We're going to focus on the big issues that cost lives. And there's no way this is costing anyone their lives. So, well, I've talked too much, and I haven't been reading the chat. So, number one tourist destination, New Zealand. Yeah, a lot of people do. And the thing is, I've tried to get across to our councillors, people may not come to Tokoroa just to see the tower and to see the airfield and to fly with Ron and myself. But if they're coming to New Zealand, they will put us on their itinerary. And that's important. Bats are protected in New Zealand. Yeah, but there's no bats in our tower, unfortunately, and they wouldn't stay anyway, because who'd want to stay in a tower that could be knocked down at any moment? And we can't get heritage building status. It doesn't qualify for that, I'm afraid. So, small wins. Yeah, life is made of small wins, and lots of small wins make big wins. So, but yeah, you just got to be tenacious. I mean, I don't give up easily when it comes to battles and fights. I'm old. I'm ornery. I can just keep going. People fall by the wayside. A lot of the people that I find myself in conflict with, eventually they tire and give up. But most politicians, most bureaucrats, most regulators rely on them lasting the distance and you not. I mean, I don't know how many times I've got engaged in battles where the strategy of the other party is just to wear you down. They know if they keep at it, they'll wear you down, you go away. But I don't go away, and that really pisses people off, because I'm still there with this airfield. I've been trying to get this airfield turned into what it should be for almost 20 years now, and I'm still here. And many of the politicians, the local politicians that were against me, they've gone, but I'm still here. Why not reach out for more support? In terms of support, for the tower thing, the problem is we have a bit of a problem here too, that our community isn't, that most people in this town don't even know we have an airfield tower. And if we did, they wouldn't care. And that's the problem. They could benefit greatly if we use that tower to attract more people, because there'd be more jobs and more money in the town. But They just don't know, and most people don't care. It's unfortunate. And in fact of life, we look at the hobby. Most people just don't care. They just don't care about a lot of stuff because they're too busy trying to earn enough money to put fuel in the gas tank and pay the mortgage or the bills. And life is getting harder. There's less time for this, let's worry about this. Mike, hi from London. London, hello, London. And it's still warm over there. Tell them to buzz off. I wish I could tell them to buzz off. Crowdfund the tower. Yeah, one of the councillors did suggest that they sold it to me and I relocated it. I said, well, no, it's no point in putting the tower somewhere else. This is the airfield tower. That's where it's known to be. If you put it somewhere else, it's no longer the airfield tower. So that's pointless. They just wanted to avoid the cost of having it pulled down and towed away, I think. Apathy, that is the word, John. Apathy is an excellent word to use. Is the tower still used? It was never used. It was only a movie prop. It was only ever a movie prop. Like Hobbiton, if you come to New Zealand, you want to go and see Hobbiton, that was never used as a real village. It's just a movie prop. And that's one thing that this council has said. They've said to me, this is just a movie prop. It serves no purpose. And I've tried to point out to them, just a few miles down the road, there's a town that's made a multi-million-dollar tourist attraction out of just a movie prop. So you can't dismiss it as just being a movie prop. And interesting, the mayor has referred to the thousands of people who watch the videos and show support and things as just a few people on the internet. Well, there are more people, there's more of these just a few people on the internet than there are people in this entire district. But apparently, if you're on the internet, you don't count because our council doesn't understand how the internet works and they don't think it's important. And that's how backward looking they are. That's how old these people are. Most of them are very old, not necessarily in years, but in outlook. And that's the problem. We need young people with ideas, willing to take risks and think outside the box. We just don't have that, unfortunately. Any thoughts on the worsening economic conditions and its effect on discretionary spending? Yeah, everyone's got less money to spend. That's why I'm so blown away by the super chats that people have bowled up here. It makes a huge difference to someone like myself, who basically, I'm not out to make a fortune, and I've succeeded at doing that very well, not making a fortune. But everyone's scrounging for money, which is why when I see sometimes, people have reduced their Patreon pledge or they've stopped supporting me on Patreon, and that's fine. I mean, I would never ask anyone to support me if they couldn't afford it. I mean, you've got your first priorities are your own families, your own costs, your own expenses, and your own enjoyment of the hobby. I'm an adult, I'm not essential. So I think people should take care of their own requirements first. And if you've got anything left over, hey, throw it at me. I won't say no, but and Bot Grinder's the same. Bot Grinder, people look at Bot Grinder and he's an ex-druggie and things. As a human being, he's a really nice and interesting guy now. And his attitude is the same. I watched his stream yesterday and he was saying, if you can't afford to support me on Patreon, don't feel guilty, don't worry, that's fine. And that's the way I think we should all look at it. I mean, this is to some people, their internet YouTube thing is a business. But to me, it's a way of paying the bill, but more importantly, it is a way of communicating with a fantastic community of yourselves and giving back to a hobby that's given me so much pleasure over more than 60 years now. And if people don't give back, then things just dry up and disappear. We've got to protect the hobby. And that means everyone's got to give something back. And no, it can't be claimed as a heritage to you. Yeah, I've investigated the heritage building thing. Doesn't stack up. We don't have the necessary bona fides for that. And that's Dull A has got it right. You've got to make sure we keep enjoying things. And when things get, that is the beauty of this hobby, though. I can be doing battle with the mayor and the councillors and all sorts and the regulators, and then I just grab a model, go out to the park, and it all disappears. It's fun. You enjoy yourself. For a few minutes, you're completely detached from all the worries of the world. And I think more people could benefit from this. In fact, look at the number of people who have claimed that FPV has been a wonderful way of dealing with their own crises and issues and psychological problems. It's totally underrated in that respect. It is a fantastic way to deal with the issues of the world. Wow, look at that. We've got 241 thumbs up from 215 people. That's very good. I don't know how I did that. No ads in live stream. No, I certainly hope there's no ads in this live stream. Hasn't said anything about it. And as people know, I don't use mid-roll ads because I don't think all of you should have to go and buy YouTube Premium to enjoy the content I post. And I don't think your viewing pleasure should be interrupted at regular intervals by ads you don't want to watch. And sometimes you can't skip. No, it's crap. But again, as I say, I'm not here to make a fortune, so I don't have to put mid-rolls in. And some of the good content creators have the same attitude. Mads RC has the same attitude. A lot of the really good content creators are not burdening people with mid-rolls. And We wouldn't be upset the sponsors as such. Race day course. Yeah, sponsorship's an interesting thing. There's not a lot of sponsorship available from within the hobby. I'm going to get so many inquiries. NordVPN was bothering me for ages. You get the manscaping people. I get all sorts of non-related requests for sponsorship. But I mean, I just look at it from the point of view, I want to provide people with value, and that would include sponsors. And I know when I watch a sponsored video, as soon as the sponsor thing comes up, I just move the little slider to the end of that. I never see the sponsored portion. So why would I take money from a company to put sponsorship in my videos when I know everyone's going to skip it? They're not going to get value for money. And I don't want to rip them off by promising something I'm not delivering. And it just annoys people anyway. So, yeah, I don't know. One of my biggest flaws is that I'm not money centric. I'm not focused on making a fortune. And I guess I could have, but people make a lot of money. People go out there, they want to get rich so they can enjoy life. But I enjoy life without getting rich. I've short-circuited. I've taken money out of the equation. So I've gone straight to the solution, which is to have a good time. I enjoy every moment of every day of my life. I roll out of bed in the morning, eager to get on with the day, and it's exciting and it's fun. I don't think, oh no, it's only Wednesday and I've got to work through to Friday. I enjoy what I do. So I've short-circuited the whole thing, taken money out of the equation, and I have a much better life, I think, than most people do. Which is why I'm still doing this now when I'm old enough to sit back and collect the pension and do nothing. And I'm not doing it for the money, I'm doing it for the fun. Dogs woke you up, Gary. That's terrible, mate. Let's have a look. Why aren't I sponsored by Fresco? I had an email from Fresco the other day, actually. I may get back to them, and they were interested in talking to me. Although, again, I think the Fresco, for most people, doesn't have the value equation it once had, which is unfortunate. Hard part is being young stresses the money problem, especially living in Auckland. Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people. One of the reasons I live in Tokoroa is it is the cheapest place in the country to live. It is really, really cheap to live here. And that's one of the reasons I chose to come here. I was living north of Auckland, but Auckland's really expensive. Here is small enough. Outside of winter, I walk almost everywhere. On an average day, I might walk 10, 15 kilometers because it helps keep me fit, keep me healthy. But more importantly, it keeps costs down. I don't have to pay for petrol, and petrol's so damn expensive now that, it is a compact little area. I can walk to the hangar. It only takes me 45 minutes to walk there, 45 minutes to walk back. So it is a cost is a real factor. And a lot of people don't have the luxury of not being able to put money high on their priority list. So I feel sorry for them. Any update on the ADSB radar? Yes, Greg, I spoke about that earlier. Now that I have a 3D printer capabilities, I'm doing up the enclosure, and it'll be a small thing. And I've also made a couple of changes so that I got several LCD screens that we could possibly use, or maybe now you'll be able to just use your phone if you want to. So it'll be a blind unit. It'll beep when a plane comes, but if you want to see the information, you just log in with your phone and it'll tell you. That might be the cheapest, easiest way for most people to get the thing going. And it's the GitHub thing will be going up as soon as I can get around to doing it. Yeah, the karters used to use the tower. It used to be good for filming kart races, but they don't care much. They don't seem to be interested too much in that. Yeah, motorbikes give you good mileage, but they're also a bit dangerous. Too many people get killed because car drivers don't care. Let's see. What 3D printer do you have? Well, actually, at the moment, I have two 3D printers. Neil gave me a One Hao Duplicator 4S, and John gave me an FL Sun, which I'm just looking at now, FL Sun QQ. See that? Ta-da! Yeah, so that's, I'm just getting to grips with it. I just got some TPU and some PLA Plus and some PETG filaments. I'm going to start playing around, experimenting, and we'll see how that works out. The thing I've noticed that everything from Thingiverse is, they say it's a battery holder or a bracket, but it actually, all of those files are a bowl of noodles. So they must have categorized them wrong. They all come out like a bowl of noodles. I don't know why that is. Maybe there's some problem with the database. Maybe someone can help me there. Delta print difficult. Why is a Delta printer difficult? Good for building tool stuff like towers. Yes. Yeah, we still have a right to fly at the field now, Seth. It was removed for a while, but sanity prevailed. And Jacko, who was on here a little earlier, he was instrumental in helping us get back on the field and get things sorted. But I mean, that was the as much the council as anybody. And TPU is great. Yeah, TPU is so tough. It's pretty much essential for anything for drones and so forth. Did they have electric planes in the 1970s? Actually, I built my first electric model in probably 1960 something. It was a little tissue and balsa wood glider with a little geared DC motor, and it took 2 AA batteries, and it never flew. It was a kit, and it never flew because at the time, alkaline cells were really hard to get. This is way back. The Americans had alkaline cells everywhere, but we only had the zinc carbon batteries, and they simply couldn't deliver the current, so it just never flew. It was really disappointing. But yeah, back in the 70s, there were some flying with subsea NiCad cells. They were very fast, mainly little pylon racer things, really, really fast. But as a general thing, electric didn't really come into much use until the turn of the century. How much did it cost back then? How much did what cost? Everything was more expensive back then. It's ridiculous prices we paid back then. I bought a 2-channel Futaba radio control system, and it was, I think it was 240 New Zealand dollars back in 1970 something. Ridiculous prices, unbelievable. And RC systems are now so cheap, it's amazing. Cox 049 on a string in 71, yeah. We all had little Cox plastic planes, which actually flew. I think they flew more through centrifugal force than any kind of aerodynamic effect, but they were fun. They were fun. I had a lot of Cox power pods put on RC gliders. Before we had electric motors, we used to get a little tiny 049 motor, put it on a little pylon, and rubber band it to the top of the wing, so it provided enough lift to get your glider up to a few hundred feet. Then the fuel ran out and you glide around. There wasn't much drag from those, so that was a pretty good way to get your models in the air. It's 1 a.m. tonight, Simon P. Where are you? Where are you? Speechless. Ireland. Oh, goodness me. So you're in Drone Girl territory. I haven't watched Drone Girl for ages. I think she, the content it was good for a while, but it's not something I'm interested in now. You still got your control line plan? Yes, I was thinking, now with this digital FPV we're talking, everyone wants digital FPV, and all that sort of stuff. The problem is the radio frequency link, getting enough data. Oh, here we've got spammers. How do I get rid of these people? I don't know. What have we got? Hide user on this channel. Have they gone away? I don't know. I can't tell. Oh yeah, maybe they have. Yes, good, excellent. Yeah, the problem is the radio frequency link between the video transmitter and video receiver. Getting enough bandwidth to provide the video at the sufficient bit rate. I think the future is control line FPV. You can just use wires. Just have a camera connected to your goggles through the wires. Control line FPV. Fantastic. Can't see anything wrong with that. Probably gets around the registration requirement as well. Maybe that's the future. Thank you, Matt. What are you saying? I don't think you're supposed to say that on YouTube. Oh dear. Have I discussed the flying taxis Brisbane had on the news week? I don't know. I didn't see that actually. But this whole flying taxis, this whole sort of, electric vertical takeoff, pilotless crap, that's stupid. Who here would actually go in one of those? Who would actually go in a pilotless, electrically powered multi-rotor? I sure as hell wouldn't. I've crashed enough drones to realize the risks associated with this. And I saw a video on Alan News channel yesterday. Some guy built his own little hover thing, like one of those, what's that thing that people are using? Is it the Jetson or something or other? Built one of those things, and he had it tethered because he wanted to test it under power, and the ESC blew up and it burst into flames, but he had the ESC inside the passenger compartment, so he got all smoke and flames all over him. I'm thinking, no thank you, not for me, that stuff. And do I think that UPS FedEx will go after RC cars and trucks next? Yeah, well, actually the good money's actually using RC cars for drone delivery. Go and look, if you want to do a search online, Milton Keynes drone delivery. They've got little trolleys that trundle around delivering fish and chips all around the town, and they use this little RC car that carries all the stuff. Much better idea than things that fly over your head. It makes a lot more sense. That's the future of drone delivery. It's things that trundle around. UPS will have a driverless vehicle, and DHL have driverless vehicles that they can put hundreds of parcels in, and then they roll up outside your house, send you a text, you go out, punch in the number that was in the text, the door opens, your package comes out, and then it trundles on to the next delivery. And if something goes wrong, the battery goes flat or something goes wrong, it just stops. It doesn't hurt anybody. So make everyone a monitor so we can help block them. Yeah, actually, look, I've done so little with chatting, I've got no bloody clues. I assume the spammer's gone. I thought I'd got rid of them. But I need to do more practice on the streaming thing. I should get a stream deck and do this more seriously actually, but when I get some money, I'll probably buy something that will give me more control as well, make life easier, and get some guests on. We'll get some guests on and chat to people and make fun of them, because that's what I'm good at, making fun of people. And if you want to be made fun of, come to Tokoroa and fly at our field, and I will make fun of you relentlessly. You'll be famous. You need a moderator. I do need a moderator. Actually, yeah, this thing with deliveries now, they don't need a signature anymore. They say you pay for a signature, but they don't get one. They just drop it at the door and run away. So, yep, need moderators. How do I do moderators on this thing? There's 3 little buttons up here. No. What about here? What have we got? When am I going to have Ken here or not? Actually, I'm going to be on Ken's show next week, I think it is, or the week after. I'm not sure. It might be. Yeah, he's got me lined up. I'll be on his show. So, but I don't have all the pigeon jerky stuff. So he would be. It'd be no point having him on here. I don't have the technology. Blue wrench. Blue wrench? I don't have a blue wrench. Oh yeah, that's what you give out, but I don't have. Who should I make a moderator then? Who do we know? Maybe those spammers from before. If we made them moderators, that'd be all right, wouldn't it? Those porn spammers. I bet they've never been made a moderator before. Press 3 dots next to the person address. Like that, Sean. Oh, what did I do? I gave a blue wrench to Props Off. Look at that. There you go, Props Off. Be responsible. Oh dear. Trouble is it keeps scrolling, so I got to catch people. Oh yeah, there we go, Geeks Varna. No, that's right. I gave it to Geeks Varna. There you go, Sean. You are a moderator, mate. You can delete all these noisy people. Delete me if you like. I don't mind. So I have 1 moderator. There we go. I shall make more. And need to get Spoctra back. Yes, we do, because I've spoken to Mark a couple of times, and he says it's unlikely it'll ever happen again. I think I spoke to Charlie too, and no one will let me know why they stopped or why they can't get back together. So we can only speculate. And I wonder if it isn't because Maureen complained, or maybe it's because that sports area has been redeveloped. I haven't looked on Google Earth recently. I must have a look. But they did some risque things, which may have got them in trouble with the local authorities. Maybe they got banned from the park, but they still had the farm. They used to go to the farm. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. So I guess we will just have to hope they come back one day. RC Gut's still going, but very intermittently. Only seen a few videos from them in recent times. Again, as I said, I'm a tenacious guy. I've been doing this since 2006, and I'm not going away anytime soon. I'm probably one of the longest running YouTube content creators that's still doing content on a regular basis. There's a lot of Johnny-come-latelys like Bardwell, but and a lot of good content creators that have popped up in recent times, but I've been doing it for ages now, and I still love doing it, so I will continue to do it. And that's what we do. G'day, Volatronics. How are you, mate? Yeah, it's always dab time. You can dab. I'll spill my coffee on the table, and you can dab it up. That's what we do. So that's how we do it here, mate. That's how we do it here. So how long have we been going? Geez, an hour and a half. Oh, that's an hour of your life. That's an hour and a half of your life you never get back. Yeah, forgot about Maureen. How could you forget Maureen? That hair was beautiful, mate. Gorgeous. And actually, someone else that was with the Spoctra guys, Rupert White. He's a great guy. If you're into FPV, follow Rupert White. He's done some fantastic high-speed FPV. Go and look at his channel, Omaguli Bird. You have to search for that. If you haven't seen that channel, watch it. Some really good stuff on there FPV-wise. He was pushing the boundaries with FPV in the UK long before it was popular, and he's still doing it. It's good. He's doing some really good high-speed stuff. Yeah, so I should, what's it now? It is now lunchtime. It's 12 o'clock in the middle of the day here in New Zealand, and the sun is peeking through the clouds. I might go and do some flying. What do you reckon? I appreciate everybody that's joined me on this chat, and because it wasn't scheduled or advertised, I'm surprised that so many people, and 305 likes, my God, that's amazing. And those who have donated, thank you so much. I'll be putting that money to good use, as you know I will. Unfortunately, I don't take drugs, so I won't be buying drugs. It'll be other more practical stuff. And woo, Malphaser, excellent, $20. Geez, I mean, so generous. I mean, I can see why Ian does these live streams now. In fact, Ian had a really good night the other night when he was out in the wild. He got hundreds of dollars. I think it was brilliant. So yeah, I will continue to make the video on demand content, of course. And from time to time, there will be a live stream. And once I get my GTX 1060 and this machine to get it sorted out, I might do some more professional live streams rather than just this talking head here with his exercise gear and editing gear in the background. So we'll wait and see. So there we go. Again, I appreciate it all. Apparently, ending a stream is a difficult process. Everyone complains you've got to press too many buttons, but I shall do that now. And if I missed a comment, you said, I apologize. I need more practice at this streaming stuff. I'm really a rank amateur. In the meantime, stay tuned. There will be some fun stuff coming, and there's a few reviews coming up on RC Model Reviews as well, despite the bad weather. So thanks, everybody. Now it says end stream. And for an old person, that's a very slow process. Trust me, end stream. And then it says it will stop immediately. Sure. Oh, before I go, oh no, it doesn't.